All right, thank you all for being here for the official weigh-in for UFC 269, Oliveira versus Poirier, and we will begin. The man around whom this fight card was built, the undisputed UFC lightweight champion, Charles Dubronks Oliveira. 155 for Charles Oliveira. All right, next athlete to the scale is the other man around whom this fight card was built, the former UFC interim lightweight champion and the #1 contender, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. $154.5, the official weight for Dustin Poirier. Your main event for UFC 269 is official. All right, next we make way for the greatest of all time, the UFC's bantamweight and featherweight champion, the Lioness, Amanda Nunes. $134.5 for the champion, Amanda Nunes. Your co-headliner is now official. All right, next fighter to the scale is with a first-time UFC title challenger, the third-ranked women's bantamweight in the world, Juliana Pena. $135, the official weight for Juliana Pena. All right, next athlete to the scale in the UFC's flyweight division, Erin Cold-Blooded Blanchfield. $125.5 for Erin Blanchfield. All right, next athlete to the scale, and it is great to have this man back in the fold, the #7 ranked UFC featherweight contender, Josh Emmett. Official weight 145.5 for Josh Emmett. All right, next fighter to the scale competing in a prelim you can see live on Fight Pass and ESPN Plus in the bantamweight division. He is Tony Kelly. 136, the official weight for Tony Kelly. All right, next fighter to the scale competing on the pay-per-view main card, the 6th-ranked flyweight in the world, Kai Kara-France. Official weight 125 pounds for Kai Kara-France. All right, next fighter to the scale charged with kicking off the pay-per-view main card in the UFC's bantamweight division, the unranked Sugar Sean O'Malley. Official weight 135.5 for Sugar Sean O'Malley. All right, moving on now to the UFC women's flyweight division as we welcome Miranda Maverick. $125, the official weight for Miranda Maverick. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's middleweight division. He's your boy, Eric Anders. $185.5, the official weight for Eric Anders. All right, next fighter to the scale just so happens to be his opponent in the middleweight division, Sergipano Muniz. $185.5, the official weight for Muniz. All right, next fighter to the scale, one of the best grapplers in the UFC, competing in the 145-pound division, Ryan Hall. $145.5 for the Wizard, Ryan Hall. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in the UFC's flyweight division, the Savage, Jillian Robertson. Official weight 125 pounds for Jillian Robertson. All right, next up, a prelim you can see live on ESPN2 in the middleweight division, Bruno Silva. £186 for Bruno Silva. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's bantamweight division, repping Taunton, Massachusetts. Please welcome Randy the Zohan Costa. $134.5, the official weight for Randy Costa. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in the UFC's middleweight division. He is the Beverly Hills Ninja, Jordan Wright. $186, the official weight for Jordan Wright. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in our featured prelim live on ESPN2 in the UFC's featherweight division. He is 9th ranked, Dan 50K Ige. 146, the official weight for Dan Ige. All right, next fighter to the scale, one of the best in the world in his division, 8th ranked UFC bantamweight contender, the young Punisher, Pedro Munoz. Official weight 135.5 for Pedro Munoz. All right, next fighter to the scale is the former undisputed UFC bantamweight champion, making his UFC flyweight debut live on pay-per-view tomorrow, Cody No Love Garbrandt. £126, the official weight for Cody Garbrandt. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in a prelim live on ESPN2 in the UFC's heavyweight division, Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. $264, the official weight for Tai Tuivasa. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on ESPN2, the 11th ranked UFC heavyweight, Augusto Sakai. $263.5, the official weight for Augusto Sakai. All right, next fighter to the scale competing live on pay-per-view tomorrow night in the UFC's welterweight division, 14th ranked Santiago Ponzinibbio. $169.5, the official weight for the Argentine dagger Santiago Ponzinibbio. All right, next fighter to the scale, also competing on pay-per-view tomorrow in the UFC's bantamweight division, Raulian Paiva. Official weight 135.5 for Raulian Paiva. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing on pay-per-view on the main card in the UFC's welterweight division, 12th ranked, Jeff Hands of Steel Neal. $170.5, the official weight for the welterweight contender, Jeff Neal. All right, next athlete to the scale in the UFC women's flyweight division, Priscilla Cachoeira. $129, the official weight for Priscilla Cachoeira, 3 pounds over the flyweight limit. All right, next fighter to the scale is the former two-time UFC bantamweight champion of the world and the 9th-ranked bantamweight contender at present, the Dominator, Dominic Cruz. $135, the official weight for Dominic Cruz. All right, next athlete to weigh in the UFC's featherweight division, Derrick Minner. $146, the official weight for a very fired up Derrick Minner.